I should have known better, but when you're falling for someone, logic doesn't really stand a chance. It started when we both got hired in SOPHI, which I didn't expect to happen. I can still remember the day when I first saw you. It was last June 1, 2021. I just love how you made the office bearable. A joke here. A lingering glance there which felt like there were butterflies inside my stomach. I told myself it was nothing, that I was imagining things, but then they were late nights, the deep conversations, the way you look at me like I was special. And I let myself believe it. Because both of us are in the morning shift. I wasn't like I didn't know you were straight, or at least that's what you always said. But there were moments, small ones, where I felt something was real. The way you'd hold my hand just a little too long, how your touches lingered, how you let me in, emotionally in ways I knew you didn't let others. One night, which happened to be our rest day, we had too many drinks since we celebrated after a stressful week of training at work. We crossed the line. It wasn't much, just a kiss, just a moment. But to me, it was everything. To you, I think it was a mistake you didn't know how to take back. After that, things changed. You pulled away, but not in an obvious way. You were still kind, still friendly as before, but there was distance where there hadn't been before. That's sad. One night, when you texted me to meet up somewhere to chill, you finally said that you cared about me, but you felt like you're not the person you are. And just like that, I was reminded where we stood. I nodded and said I understood, smiled like it didn't hurt. Because what else was I supposed to do? You got to walk away, back into comfort of certainty, while I was left to sit with the weight of what could never be. We still worked together for a while, until one day, you were gone. No warning, no goodbye, and I just read on Slack your farewell speech that you resigned. It was almost poetic. You got to leave and I was left behind. Days turned into months, months into years. The office changed. New faces, new desks, new routines. But no matter how much time passed, there was always a part of me that remained stuck in that chapter. I look around at the office and realize that I had been with SOPHI for 3 years and 8 months. And yet, no matter how long I stayed, you would always be a part of this place for me. In the pantry, where we used to share jokes, at the coffee machine where we once stood side by side, in the silence of an empty conference room, where I sometimes swore I could still feel your presence. People live, but memories don't. And maybe, no matter where you are now, part of you still lingers here too. So this story is very familiar of what I've experienced before, especially here when the person said I wasn't like I didn't know you were straight, or at least that's what you always said. This is very confusing for the person who was experiencing this because he or she might like the opposite gender, and the person here was very attached, and they have just a small interaction with the person, and it's pretty sad because they didn't work out. The lesson in this story, I think it's important to not like deeply to someone. It's very sad actually, and it's like a little crush in high school, but I think this person is very sad about what happened in the story because they both got hired in the same year. This was love at first sight. It's very familiar from what I experienced before. But yeah, it is what it is. You just get over it with someone, and there's always some people you don't get over it, but hopefully you're feeling okay right now and you don't think the person or whoever is going through this kind of situation.
Ruben was my longest relationship. We had been together since our college days and had planned to marry when we turned 25. Unfortunately, our relationship was long distance. As I worked in Manila, while Ruben was a regular employee at PNOC in Valencia. When we turned 25, I asked for more time because I wasn't ready to settle down yet. and didn't want to return here in Negros yet. Yeah. So it's like the same in my own experience because my boyfriend is planning to like settle down, but then I'm not yet ready for some reasons. Then in our seventh year, everything changed. One night, Ruben called me in tears, confessing that he had accidentally slept with another woman after getting drunk. I was in complete shock after all. I was his first ever girlfriend. My world trembled. I remember walking in the rain, crying my heart out, desperately looking for my cousin. So, for love, we cannot easily unlove a person, especially if we really love that person. Despite the heartbreak, I still managed to show up for work at 3 a.m. that morning, but I couldn't stop crying. My closest colleagues comforted me, urging me to go home to Negros and fight for our love so I wouldn't have any regrets. After a month, I finally flew back for a 2-week vacation. Ruben was overjoyed to see me, and I could tell he deeply regretted what had happened. Slowly, things fell back into place and everything felt like it used to be. The following year, we started planning our wedding. But suddenly, Ruben wanted to resign and move to Manila for a quick civil wedding. That made me suspicious. It had always been decided that I would be the one to resign since his salary was higher. Sensing something was off, I asked Kuya to look into it while he was in Valencia on vacation. What he discovered shattered me. Ruben had gotten the same woman he had one night stand with a year ago pregnant. Heartbroken, I cut off all communication with him and found myself drifting from one fling to another, determined not to make the same mistake again. But thankfully, I met my husband who helped me heal, and now we have been happily married for almost 14 years. Yeah, so for this kind of situation, it's really hard. Yeah, especially if you are really in love with a certain person. In my own experience, I also have like a long-term relationship. It's been 5 years, but then I wasn't able to encounter his parents. And then I am still like asking if there's like any like a situation or any events that I could like go to their certain place. But right now I'm still waiting. And there are certain like red flags, but then and I'm still in love with this person because like this situation, he's also my first boyfriend. My parents, at first they don't really like this person because of circumstances in life, but still I'm choosing this person right until now. And I don't know yet if he will be going to be my husband soon, but I'm rooting for it and hoping, and I'm just gonna letting God what to be his decision in my life.
I had experienced heartbreak 3 times in my life. First was in high school. I fell in love with my classmate, who was my cousin's best friend. She was my first love. I hid my feelings for her the entire school years, and I proposed to her only on our graduation day. She told me that she already knew how I felt for her, but she turned me down for the reason that I was too good for her, that I don't deserve her. She just wanted me to be her brother. Okay, this is kind of strange because, the usual thing is like, for example, if a person like turns you down, like the normal reasoning would be like, that person is like too good for you or something like that. Everyone has their reasons. So I guess it's, to each their own. Like we also have to respect each other's opinion and the reason for why they're acting like that. Okay, so let's move on. Second was in college. I had this organization teammate who eventually became my best friend. Our relationship was very platonic for the first 2 years, but my feelings for her developed in the process. It became more than platonic, and I wanted our relationship to be more than just friendship. I admitted my feelings for her on the anniversary of martial law in 1996. She rejected me. She had feelings for me, likewise, but she was too scared to lose our friendship. She'd rather want to keep it that way. It hurt me, but I respected her decision. We remained best friends. First of all, props to the guy for respecting the girl's decision. Like, the girl just wanted to be friends with him. They started as friends for about 2 years. And then, the guy developed feelings for the girl. And then, he had to take it a step further. Like, he had somewhat like to take a leap of faith. It's very nerve-wracking. To admit your feelings to someone else, and not knowing what would be the outcome. But then, just move on from there. Glad to know that they remained best friends, even after that. Okay. The most hurtful one was in 1998. I met this girl through a college buddy. We became friends, tested the waters, where it will lead us. We got to know each other and eventually became a couple after months of dating. I popped the question a year after, and we got engaged for almost a year. Everything was smooth until one day I noticed changes in her. She always goes out with people she barely knows. We argue almost every day and reconcile only after a few days of giving each other space. The cycle went on until one day she delivered the worst news. She got pregnant to another man. I was devastated, wondering what I did wrong. Her only reason, I never touched her. Admittedly, I never did, as I didn't want to lose my respect for her. I wanted to preserve her virginity, but I was slapped in the face otherwise. The wedding was called off. We went on our separate ways, and after she gave birth, she asked me if I could be the father of the child. She learned that the man was married and has a happy family. I declined, and she became a single mom. That was the last time we spoke. Okay, this one is intense, Getting hit with a sledgehammer from out of nowhere intense. This guy, just imagine yourself in this guy's position. The heartbreak, the shock that he felt initially when he heard the news, it's not easy to move on from that state. He gave his all to this woman, and then his feelings, his respect for her was not reciprocated. His trust was broken. He could take option A, move on from there, forgive, forget, let bygones be bygones, and then move on from there. Just accept the child and raise it as its own. But then that would be very hard to do. It would take an insane amount of strength, just to do that and to move on from there. And there's option B, I think, which he took, where he eventually moved on from there and just told the woman that they would have to go their separate ways. Who could blame this guy? The feeling that he must have felt, during that time when I learned from the news. We could learn a lot from this guy's, experiences about love and, heartbreaks. And just a little bit of advice for you lovebirds out there. If you are with someone and you know that the person, you would know deep in your heart that he or she is the perfect pair for you, is the perfect fit for you, just hold on to that person with everything you have and give them your love and respect. All right. Thanks again for listening.